we're going to start off with when Jeremy Piven joins the show.
Okay.
Because Jeremy is going to reveal how he knows Shaq. And the way he knows Shaq is that Jeremy is one of those super annoying celebrities who likes to make the Lakers games about him.
Oh, God. Oh, this is awful.
Number one.
Oh.
JP used to be one of the guys that used to curse me out when I didn't make free throws. He'd be like, put in your knees, Shaq. He knows when I put my mind to it. He knows, like, when, you know, as soon as I make my face and put my mind to it, it will get done. So, JP, I never thanked you, but thank you for always staying on my ass at the Staples Center. I appreciated that, brother.
Listen, it was my honor, man.
My honor? What? To give you shit?
Yeah. And by the way, did you guys notice this is a professional podcaster, How You Live in Jay Piven, who doesn't have a microphone?
That's right. He's got his the Apple earbuds. He doesn't even have AirPods. He's got just the wired ones. Yeah.
He also looks like his eyes will barely even open at the beginning of the podcast.
Oh, that's interesting.
They're really closed.
All that sushi he ate.
But that's
messed up.
That's not the only Laker that he's mixed up in the middle of the game. It seems like he talks to all the players during the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So let's get right into it.
Did you send him the cut sheet or something?
I watched it.
But track number 2, he shoehorns in this anecdote, which I A, don't believe.
No.
And B, don't think was necessary to talk about immediately out of the gate like this.
And, you know, for some reason, God rest his soul, but I would have these moments with Kobe. And for instance, because I would watch you guys all the time. And one time he came down and he looked at me during the game and he said, let me ask you a question, man. When you're playing that character and you're supposed to be angry, it looks so real. How do you do that? In the middle of a game. And I was like, what? He's talking about Entourage.
Yeah.
And I looked around and people were like, man, he doesn't talk to anyone during these games.
That's wild.
I said, when you pop in a 3-pointer with 3 seconds left to go in front of 1 billion people, how do you do that? Now, he's just one of these dudes, as you know, that was always really curious.
Oh, God. Which is why he talked to you so much during the game. You know, I heard this. I don't know if this is true, but some people are saying that the Lakers actually voted a championship, money share, and a ring for Jeremy Piven because he was so helpful.
Oh, my God. Well, then Kobe should have gotten credit in the movie for asking him questions, right?
Well, what's crazy about this, too, is that they weren't talking about Kobe before this or anything like that. They were talking about the Lakers play-in game. But for some reason, Jeremy Piven comes on and immediately makes the conversation about Kobe. Shaq and Kobe hated each other.
I know.
I
got to say, though, I think you're missing something. That story wasn't about Kobe. That story was about Jeremy Piven.
Yes, true.
That's what that was about.
Because Kobe barely talks to anyone. He's so focused. But Jeremy Piven, it's impossible not to seek his counsel during the game. I mean, who knows when you might be around him again.
Okay, but this gets even crazier. This story continues to go on, and you're right, Mark. This is even more about Jeremy Piven because now he's going to talk about not only was he the star of Entourage, but he was also improvising and directing. Bullshit. I mean, he made it all happen, obviously.
And I was lucky. I didn't know him the way you did, man. But, I was lucky to have a few moments with him. And I was just so blown away by, he wanted to ask me, how I lock into my character. And it had nothing. And by the way, I'm sorry to keep going on and on like this. We used to film when you guys were playing.
Yeah,
you remember. Did. And one time I just told them to start filming. And I love to improvise and everything was scripted with them and I would try to get them to freestyle a bit. And I walked up to Kobe in character and as he was just warming up, and I just said, I walked up to him as Ari Gold, and I just asked him, I was trying to poach him as a client and telling him that he could be a brilliant actor and he could make Denzel look like Carrot Top, and it was just so crazy because he was just in his groove, and he was talking to me and telling me that he has no charisma in front of the camera and he couldn't do it.
Does this story have an end?
Oh, my God.
Was he dressed like Ari, too, and he have his assistant from the show with him?
Lloyd?
Dressed in character? Lloyd, yeah.
Did they mic up Kobe appropriately? Like he's acting like he created this whole scene out of nowhere.
I backed it up. I want to show you my favorite part of this is just look at Shaq's face right there as Jeremy Piven's telling the story. He is so disinterested in anything that he's saying right now. He's got his index finger on his temple, kind of like, is this story of an end? And meanwhile, what's the other guy? You said his name's Spice
Adams.
Spice Adams did not move that whole time. That could just be a cardboard cutout of him. Just saying.
Mark, I'm glad you picked up on that because that was the thing. I was looking at his body language, Shaq specifically, because there's so many times when Jeremy Piven's going on and on about Jordan or Kobe, whatever. And Shaq's like, who is bringing this stuff up? This is not what we're talking about at all.
Shaq doesn't want to talk. Like you said earlier, he doesn't want to talk about Kobe.
Oh, I know we're going to get to it later, but the Jordan story is a whopper.
Oh, yeah, that is a whopper. Yeah. All right. So now we're going to talk about how smart Kobe was. And Shaq talks about how dumb he was. Like he could barely pass. Well, he couldn't pass the SATs. But he was able to pass the ACT.
Well, as we know, I was going to say, as we know from Blue Chips, that those tests are culturally biased. No one knows the Blue Chips reference.
I know exactly what you're talking
When
about.
I heard he made a 1700 on the SAT, I was like, damn, I made a 680 on my SAT.
Okay, stop, Shaquille.
I did.
I have a question.
I did. I
Because
failed it twice. I'm not ashamed.
Okay.
I passed the
You
ACT.
can't fail this. You can't fail it. You just get
Yes, you can. If you don't get a 700, you don't play. I made a 680 twice. So I took the ACT rhyme style and I made a 23. You know what that is? You know what that is, Jeremy? Rhyme style?
When you just keep repeating a hook, I don't know.
No, so rhyme style is when I get there, right? I was like, I'm probably not going to pass this. So I was like, A to the B. This one's C. This one's D. Now bring it to an E. Back to the B. This motherfucker C. A. One more B. Then a C. Then a D. E.
That's awesome.
What a great story.
How can you not love Shaq for making fun of his terrible ACT score while Jeremy Piven tries to tell you how huge, larger than life he is? Shaq is making fun of his, the fact that he flunked the ACTs.
I fully expected
SATs.
Jeremy Piven to go, oh, yeah, well, I got a 520 or just.
Oh, it's 1730, but by the advantage of being white.
It's so stupid.
By the way, Kobe's 1700.
You don't believe that?
Karl?
1600 is the highest score you get on that SAT. Back when Kobe took it.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. No, I heard that and I was like, that's not true, but whatever. What are you going to do?
Okay, not only that, but didn't Shaq say something about how Duke wanted him for his scholastic ability first?
Yeah. And Duke was recruiting him just because he's so smart. Well, also because he puts up 30 a game. That's
Come on,
probably why.
Shaq.
That didn't happen.
I don't believe that happened either, but hey, I'm kind of like you, Karl. I should have just let it go. Shaq was being nice.
Speaking of things that you're not going to believe, this is the Jordan story. This is my track number 7. And what I want you to notice, too, while you're listening to this horse shit, is that Shaq and Spice are not having it. Now, Nichelle's job is to make the guests feel like they're killing it on the show, but Shaq and Spice do not care, and they're letting him know that they don't believe this for a second.
Let me just tell you a really quick story, you guys. So I grew up in Chicago, and I was hosting the Film Critics Awards, and so I said, "Can you guys get me credentials to go into the locker room?" It was when Jordan was, making his run with the Bulls, and I got the fake credentials, and I'm standing there. I swear to God, this happened. Everyone's at MJ's locker, and the press is waiting, and there are these waves to ask him the next question, right? And I'm just waiting it out. And I said, MJ, have you let the healing begin since you were snubbed at the Oscars for Space Jam?
So he actually got in a question among all the beat writers who Michael Jordan knows from being there night after night after night, and Jeremy Piven, who would have been like 28 at the time in 93, 94, 95. Really? Come on. Do we know if he hosted the Critics Films Choice or whatever that stupid thing is?
Probably look that up.
He would have been. That makes sense. I mean, it's not even. He's acting like he was stuttering John on the red carpet all of a sudden. I got these crazy questions throwing off celebrities. Like, no, there's no way that happened.
Well, it didn't happen too because it probably would have gotten the similar response. And if it got the response that he got on that podcast, you would never do that again or tell that story. right? Because he got no response.
Spicer's like, oof.
Wait, Jeremy Piven was born in 65. He would have been like 28 in 92 when they won their second championship. When they were 30, would have been 27 in 92, 28 in 93. And then for the next three, he's still a young guy. He's not even Ari Gold yet.
When did Space Jam come out? That's what you got to look up.
Oh.
Right? Because that was the reference in there.
Brandon, you know you're a huge Space
I saw it in theaters. Yeah, it came out in 96. Great.
96. So Piven is 31. But why would he be hosting the film's Choice Awards? And why would he be getting fake?
He said he's from Chicago, and it sounded like it was a Chicago event. I don't know.
Do you think they give away a lot of fake credentials to people with the Bulls and let people dick around with Michael Jordan? Because I don't. I really don't.
Good point. Yeah, they love a gag after a game. Go ahead and get in there.
Once again, here's the reaction shot at the end of that story. Look at Spice.
Yeah, right.
Like you said, Karl, he's just like, I don't think so.
I love Shaq. I think he's so funny on the show, and
He's very likable.
Yeah, my track number 6 is another example of this where Nichelle asked this hypothetical question, and Shaq's response is perfect to this.
I think it was Jalen Rose talking about it the other day, and he said his question was, which would you rather have? Would you rather have Kobe's mentality or LeBron's game in life? Like, if you could choose, which one would you rather have?
Well, that's not a real question.
Correct. That's not a real question because those are okay. If you wanted LeBron's game, okay, that'd be amazing. I can't play like him, but if you wanted someone's mentality, you could just adopt it. Like anyone could have Kobe's mentality if they want to.
That is a really stupid question.
Shaq though said exactly what I thought, which was, well, wait, Kobe's game is pretty damn good too. I mean, is LeBron's game that much better than Kobe's?
No, I'd rather have Kobe's game and his mentality. Right.
Once again,
it's a really dumb question.
Once again, Shaq there, finger to the forehead from that cut right there, meaning he is just totally bored by that question.
Oh, boy.
All right. So, as I mentioned, Nichelle is on there to be the adult. And so, at a certain point, Jeremy Piven is kissing Shaq's ass, and they're having a conversation about, the Lakers. And so my track number 5, Nichelle interrupts, and Shaq is not having it.
You were smart enough to know, okay, there's some serious competition. I got to raise my game.
Exactly.
And Jeremy,
I've always go ahead, Nichelle, since you want to talk. See this Spice. Jeremy wasn't here. She wasn't saying nothing. Now Jeremy's here.
he's here for a reason. He's here for a reason.
Ooh.
So it's her job to get Jeremy's plug-in, obviously.
Yeah.
For the movie.
She's trying to change the conversation. And so a little bit later on, Jeremy Piven's talking about how he was a huge Bears fan growing up in Chicago, and Sweetness was the greatest running back of all time. And this allows for a perfect segue for Nichelle. We can find out why Jeremy Piven is spending 15 minutes of his precious time talking to Shaq.
But Jeremy, can we talk about another sweetness, Sweetwater?
Yes.
Because that's why you're here today to talk about this movie. I watched it. I loved it.
Oh, surprise.
It's the life story of Nat Sweetwater Clifton, who was supposed to be, in essence, the first Black player in the National Basketball Association. This story, I didn't know the backstory. I love how it was set up. You play the coach of the New York Knickerbockers. You play Coach Lapchick, and one of the people who spearheaded integrating the National Basketball Association. Why was this? Because we're sitting here and we're hearing about your history with the game.
What is the question?
So I understand your love
question?
for it. But why was this a project where you said, I got to be a part of this?
Wow.
Jeez.
I tried to find the Simpsons clip, Lisa Simpson asking Mr. Burns, your campaign has the momentum of a runaway freight train. Why are you so popular? Tough question, but it's fair. That was a ridiculous softball question.
Awful.
And I have to tell you guys, and I hope, Drew, you picked up on this too, the douchiest answer possible.
Karl was just going to say, I kind of want to heir his answer because it's going to be ridiculous. Oh, thank God.
Track number 9. It couldn't get more douchey.
But it's funny. When I was playing Ari Gold, everyone's question was, how much are you like Ari Gold? In other words, how much of an asshole are you really? I don't know if I can say it. I don't know if I can, you know. Okay, good. And the reality is, when I was reading the script, I was like, oh my God, this character is more like me than any role I've ever played. I grew up in Chicago. I was one of the only white boys on my football team.
Oh, God.
I grew up in a truly integrated culture. And there's nothing natural about racism.
Huh?
I played the hero in this movie, and that really is mostly who I am in real life.
Oh, he's so insufferable. And this is why interviewing people who are plugging movies or TV shows can just be so punishing for the host. Because what bullshit. And of course, she has to point out that, oh, I love the movie. Of course, what people are talking about more than the movie is that he sexually assaulted, allegedly, 7 or 8 women, and he's making this movie. That's been a bigger story.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you guys would be shocked to hear this. I didn't pull the clip, but the guy who plays the main star in the movie, the athlete, is the greatest person that Jeremy Piven's ever worked with. Amazing actor. It was the most amazing performance he's ever seen from an actor.
Oh, God.
Oh, ouch. Yeah, it's tough. Karl, I don't know. Are you getting into the Kobe's Oscars question, that part?
No, that's my last clip. But I did watch that if you want to talk about it, because it's funny that so that was the thing that Jerry Piven said. He goes, Kobe was so amazing. In his second phase of his career, he won an Oscar right away. He was going to
immediately.
Yeah. And then Shaq goes, well, I've won an Oscar.
I know. Have you ever,
like, wait, what?
Have you ever thought less of winning an Oscar than Shaq's revelation that he just won an Oscar and Kobe won one too? I mean, who else in the Lakers has won an Oscar?
What did he win? What did Shaq win for?
I don't know.
He was the producer of a documentary about a female basketball player.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I looked that up too. I'm like, wait, are they joking? And I look at it, I'm like, oh, no, he won. Okay, fair enough.
Wow.
Hey, you know what else was interesting from the show that I don't know why I was looking at it this way, probably just because of the way I looked at it, but Shaq was asked about Angel Reese, about LSU, and Shaq, I think it's so patronizing when Shaq says she's the best athlete to ever attend LSU.
Did you see did you see the controversy that created? Who got mad at him for that?
Oh, let's see. A great athlete at LSU?
Lolo Jones. Remember that chick?
Oh, fuck.
I knew it.
Really?
I know. None of us are big fans of Lolo Jones.
No, he was saying best athlete, male or female.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was saying best athlete, period.
But it's him or Maravich or
it's not
Beckham Jr.
Angel Reese. Come on.
Or a guy who never even got playing time on the men's team. Yes, I know. I agree with you.
What a joke.
She did it. She was great, and they won a championship and all that. But and she won. She got more doubles than I did, and she's a better athlete than I am. And I feel like you're just patronizing when you go that far in your praise of her. But the other thing was that Shaq completely backed her that, Jill Biden was being a racist when she said that. I kind of thought, I'm surprised he didn't really go there, but he did. And then I realized, Shaq has to say that. I mean, he has to.
This show is associated with the NBA. Obviously, Shaq's associated with the NBA and TNT and everything. So, these are a lot of company lines that you're hearing.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it was, I love Shaq, and I at the same time, I'm glad you brought it up because Jeremy Piven, it just reminds me what a fuck face he is. God, I hate him. He's such a jackass.
Remember he held us up for an interview for the longest time?
Yeah, and was really cocky about it too.
Mm-hmm. It had a good ending though.
Why did he, Mark? Retell the story. What happened?
Well, all I know is that he kept getting kicked back. So I called in as Jeremy Piven.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we blew it off.
Had you and Mike going for a while. And all I was doing was just saying, I'm Jeremy Piven, go see whatever the movie was over and over and over in a very excited tone.
Was there an excuse for him blowing us off?
Yeah, he's an asshole.
Okay.
I think he blew off that whole phone tour.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of another thing that happened in the show, Drew, where they ask him, how many movie roles do you decline every year?
0.
Well, I thought that was funny because, obviously Jeremy Piven had to go to stand-up because of the Me Too movement.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's almost out of Hollywood for a while.
And Karl, didn't he give about a 4-minute answer and then say, but to get back to your question?
Yeah, he never really did answer it. He goes, the definition of success is choosing what you want to do. And I've made over 80 movies, and yeah, he never really said that he's ever turned anything down.
Yeah, no, he's a massive blowhard. But a great podcast, though. How You Living, Jay Piven. Great name, great podcast.
The worst.
It's the worst.